Welcome back to Dinar Daily, your dedicated source for the most critical and up-to-the-minute intelligence regarding the Iraqi dinar and the intricate global financial currents that perpetually influence its valuation. For a significant period, our mission has been laser-focused on meticulously dissecting the noise, the rampant speculation, the layers of misinformation, and the unsubstantiated rumors to deliver to you, our engaged community, well-researched, actionable insights. Our commitment is rooted in empowering you to navigate the complexities of Iraq's economic reform and its ongoing pursuit of comprehensive global financial integration, keeping you informed and prepared for what lies ahead. In today's fast-paced financial ecosystem, where instantaneous decisions have the power to fundamentally reshape individual fortunes, access to reliable and verifiable information transcends mere advantage. It is an absolute imperative. This platform exists solely to provide a steadfast, fact-based analysis concerning one of the world's most closely monitored currencies. The update we are delivering today stands as arguably one of the most pivotal announcements we've ever covered, as it speaks directly to a potential policy shift capable of dramatically restructuring Iraq's financial landscape, profoundly affecting the daily lives of millions of its citizens, and simultaneously unlocking substantial new avenues for investors both domestically and internationally. This is a moment that warrants marking your calendars, as all credible indicators point toward a monumental announcement. This coming Tuesday at 8 p.m. Baghdad time, the Central Bank of Iraq, CBI, is widely anticipated to formally disclose a significant revision to the official exchange rate of the Iraqi dinar. It is crucial to understand that this is far more than a routine, technical, or administrative adjustment. This move is laden with extensive implications, touching every facet of the country's monetary policy, its fiscal stability, and its overarching credibility within the international market arena. When a central bank makes the profound decision to deliberately alter its currency's value, it is essentially broadcasting a definitive statement of economic confidence to the world. It signals its current economic health, clearly articulates its reform priorities, and unequivocally demonstrates its capacity to maintain domestic economic stability, while aggressively pursuing deeper engagement with global financial partners. For a nation like Iraq, which has endured decades of political turmoil, conflicts, and a crippling over-reliance on oil revenues, this specific action is exceptionally important. It functions both as an economic signal and a fundamental test. The announcement acts as a clear signal to both domestic and foreign investors, indicating Iraq's earnest commitment to economic modernization. Simultaneously, it presents a critical test of the resilience and adaptability of the Iraqi financial infrastructure in the face of rapid, systemic change. This is the precise kind of policy action that many analysts and citizens have been patiently awaiting for years, perhaps even decades. With this strategically chosen date and time, coupled with an anticipated meticulously crafted execution strategy, the CBI's impending decision possesses the power to fundamentally alter not just the dinar's numerical value, but also the entire global narrative surrounding Iraq's role in the global financial community. The deliberate choice by the CBI to select Tuesday at 8 a.m. for this landmark disclosure is highly strategic. Timing in high-stakes financial policy is never left to chance. In the context of the Iraqi financial week, Tuesday unequivocally represents the true start of the business cycle. It is the point when the nation's key financial players, the markets, the commercial banks, the regulators, and all financial institutions are operating at their peak activity levels, having moved beyond the slower rhythm often observed on Sunday and Monday. By unveiling this critical new exchange rate precisely at the commencement of the main trading day, the CBI strategically ensures that the entirety of the financial ecosystem, spanning from the largest commercial banks to the smallest private investors, is granted the maximum possible window to methodically process the news, recalibrate their positions, and appropriately adjust their operations within a single cohesive business cycle. This measured approach is specifically designed to significantly mitigate the risk of confusion or market panic that could potentially erupt if the changes were announced erratically, such as during the peak midday trading hours or, more problematically, as markets are approaching their closure. Furthermore, deliberately aligning the timing of this pivotal announcement with the Tuesday morning window facilitates a more seamless synchronization between Iraq's financial institutions and the colossal international trading powerhouses. Key global financial centers such as London, Frankfurt, and New York will be entering their primary trading hours, establishing a vital overlap. CBI sources privy to the internal deliberations have strongly suggested that this precise timing is far from coincidental. Rather, it represents an integral component of a wider, comprehensively measured and cautious reform blueprint. This strategy is explicitly constructed to cultivate long-term stability and foundational strength, deliberately avoiding the detrimental effects of a short-term economic shock for the everyday Iraqi citizen. This calculated and synchronized transition is intended to provide a much smoother and less disruptive experience. For the sophisticated international investor, it signals a commitment to greater policy predictability and reduces the inherent risk associated with sudden, unmanaged market shifts. The current, officially acknowledged exchange rate in Iraq hovers at approximately 1,310 Iraqi dinars per single US dollar. This specific level was meticulously established as a recent measure aimed at fostering deep-seated economic stability and effectively alleviating persistent domestic inflationary pressures. However, a burgeoning collection of recent internal policy leaks, high-level discussions, and highly credible reports emanating from authoritative, regional financial observers have converged to suggest that the Central Bank of Iraq (CBI) is actively preparing to roll out a substantially meaningful adjustment. This forthcoming recalibration has the strong potential to move the dinar's value considerably closer to, or even within the vicinity of, a benchmark of 1,000 dinars per dollar. An even bolder and more assertive move is also being actively considered by policymakers, which could propel the rate to an even stronger position. Such an emphatic adjustment would transcend mere symbolism. It would represent one of the most profound and significant recalibrations of Iraq's entire monetary framework that has been witnessed in recent memory. It is critical to grasp that this decision does not emerge in isolation. On the contrary, it is understood to be a meticulously coordinated and essential element within a far more extensive reform strategy that has been diligently and quietly pursued by both the Iraqi government and its central bank for some time. The overarching goals of this comprehensive agenda are transparent and multifaceted in their ambition. The primary objectives are to successfully narrow the stubbornly persistent gap that has long existed between the official exchange rate and the parallel or black market rate disparity that has been a long-standing catalyst for extensive currency speculation. Furthermore, the reforms aim to drastically curtail the opportunities for arbitrage and financial manipulation that have historically drained the nation's economic efficiency. Finally, and perhaps most crucially, the strategy seeks to fully restore the much-needed confidence in the country's formal, regulated banking system, by aggressively working to eliminate the spread separating the official and unofficial currency exchange rates. Iraq is strategically positioning itself to dramatically increase transparency across all financial transactions. This move is designed to simultaneously strengthen the credibility of the dinar, both within the country's borders and on the international stage, while also incentivizing its citizens to safely store their hard-earned wealth and value in the national currency, thereby reducing the default tendency to rely heavily on the US dollar. If this profound shift is executed with the necessary care and precision, it will represent far more than a simple technical monetary adjustment. It is a decisive step toward comprehensively reclaiming greater financial sovereignty. Frank 26, a respected and widely followed analyst deeply entrenched in the currency reform sphere, strongly emphasizes that the recent unfolding developments within Iraq's financial sector are by no means merely technical accounting exercises or bureaucratic maneuvers. He instead articulates a compelling viewpoint, framing the impending action as an indispensable step in the vital process of fully restoring Iraq's sovereignty and simultaneously rebuilding public trust, two fundamentally interconnected pillars critical to the nation's ongoing economic resurgence. For decades, Iraq has contended with deeply embedded structural challenges, including the lingering effects of harsh international sanctions, persistent internal political instability, and pervasive corruption within its core financial institutions. These corrosive factors have systematically eroded the trust of the average citizen, compelling countless Iraqis to seek refuge for their wealth in foreign currencies or tangible hard assets, rather than placing their faith in the dinar. Frank 26 underscores the profound notion that any recalibration of Iraq's currency rate, or any other significant forward momentum in monetary reform, inherently sends a powerful psychological message to citizens and international investors alike. This message clearly signals that Iraq is not merely achieving fleeting financial stabilization, but is actively and successfully reclaiming its fundamental economic independence from various external influences that have long held sway. He further posits that genuine, enduring trust cannot be simply mandated through legislation or enforced by decree. It must be conscientiously earned through a consistent, transparent, and unwavering execution of policies and actions that tangibly and directly enhance the daily financial lives of all Iraqis. In his expert assessment, this monumental effort is less focused on abstract exchange charts and far more centered on the essential process of ensuring that people genuinely believe, once again, that their national currency possesses a real, intrinsic, and enduring value. This deeply held belief, he passionately argues, forms the true cornerstone of sovereignty. Mark Z, another highly respected and influential voice within the global financial commentary sphere, adopts a more pragmatic and macro-focused perspective, choosing to primarily analyze how this major monetary move strategically positions Iraq on the broader international stage, while fully acknowledging the crucial nature of the technical details surrounding a rate adjustment. He asserts that the far more compelling narrative revolves around credibility and external perception within the vast, complex global markets. Iraq has been engaged in a multi-year effort to systematically shed its long-standing reputation as a high-risk, politically unstable economy and transform itself into an economy that is recognized as a reliable and dependable trading partner and a secure destination for investment capital. In Mark Z's acute analysis, the Central Bank of Iraq, CBI, is undertaking a task that extends beyond the mere adjustment of numerical values. It is meticulously crafting a sophisticated narrative for the international financial community, a narrative that emphatically states Iraq is fully ready to adhere to global financial rules, conscientiously honor all of its financial commitments, and proactively foster deep-seated, long-term stability. He astutely notes that market credibility is never instantaneously achieved, and the considerable challenges that Iraq has overcome in its past continue to cast a long, persistent shadow over its present standing. However, he strongly believes that bold, transparent, and consistently executed monetary policy actions have the unique power to significantly accelerate the crucial trust-building process. He strongly urges investors to maintain a vigilant focus on the immediate foreign exchange, forex, market reactions, as these will serve as the earliest and most direct barometer of how global traders and institutions are collectively interpreting Iraq's renewed commitment to credibility. Should this strategic move be perceived with widespread positivity, Iraq could realize immediate benefits, including demonstrably easier access to international credit markets, a dramatic surge in foreign direct investment, FDI, and significantly smoother global trade relations. Within Mark Z's comprehensive analysis, the impending exchange rate shift is ultimately less about a single, isolated financial adjustment and overwhelmingly more about successfully laying a durable, long-term foundation of trust with key global partners. The well-known analyst Pimpy often valued for his carefully balanced and occasionally cautionary insights, prominently highlights the critical reality that the broader international financial community, particularly formidable institutions such as the International Monetary Fund (IMF), is actively and strongly encouraging Iraq to undertake decisive and fundamental steps in reforming both its monetary and fiscal policies. In his view, the IMF and other affiliated international bodies are applying a strategic combination of both expert guidance and significant pressure, signaling that Iraq's full and successful reintegration into the global financial system is a matter of profound and immediate urgency, while Pimpy readily acknowledges the immense upside potential inherent in such comprehensive reforms, noting that a measurably stronger dinar could significantly boost purchasing power, substantially attract international investment, and ultimately stimulate robust long-term economic growth. He simultaneously issues a clear and unambiguous warning. He cautions that Iraq must proceed with extreme prudence and meticulous care. The tangible opportunities are undeniable, yet the associated risks are equally real and substantial. Potential pitfalls such as pervasive mismanagement, a resurgence of corruption, or an overestimation of the achievable pace of necessary reforms could severely backfire, thereby destabilizing both the domestic markets and significantly damaging Iraq's hard-won international standing. Pimpy further astutely observes that currency reform efforts are fundamentally not just about adjusting numerical rates. They are inextricably tied to deeper issues of governance and comprehensive accountability. Should the reforms be implemented with
undue haste or without the essential foundation of sufficient transparency, they carry the substantial risk of eroding public confidence rather than successfully strengthening it. His analysis underscores the critical need for Iraq to maintain a careful and deliberate balance between market optimism and rigorous fiscal discipline, ensuring that every step forward is robustly supported by undeniable and solid economic fundamentals. For Pimpy, the paramount challenge does not reside in merely making bold, high-profile public announcements, but rather in the integrity and consistency of the execution of those promises, thereby ensuring that both the ordinary citizen and the vast international community witness genuine, verifiable, and measurable improvements, while the consensus among prominent public analysts emphasizes a strategy of caution and gradual, measured progress. A distinct perspective emerges from well-placed insiders who maintain close, confidential ties to Iraq's key financial institutions. These individuals are hinting that the Central Bank of Iraq, CBI, may be contemplating an unexpected strategy, taking the markets entirely by surprise, with a significantly more aggressive rate change than the majority of external experts currently anticipate. Such an exceptionally bold move, if indeed actualized, would represent a calculated strategic gamble explicitly designed to make an instant, indelible statement and immediately seize profound global financial attention. The proponents advocating for this aggressive, front-loaded approach argue that a completely unexpected and substantial adjustment could immediately reposition Iraq in the critical eyes of international investors, powerfully signaling a newfound economic strength, decisive leadership, and an unequivocal readiness for far deeper, more meaningful economic integration. The potential and immediate benefits are compelling: an instantaneous boost in investor confidence, the possibility of sudden and significant surges of foreign capital inflow, and an accelerated re-entry into highly competitive global markets. However, these same insiders are also quick to acknowledge that such aggressive, high-stakes maneuvers are inherently accompanied by substantial risks. Should the international markets interpret a major, sudden change as reckless, overly optimistic, or ultimately unsustainable, Iraq could face a sharp and detrimental market pushback, characterized by intense speculative trading pressures and potentially crippling volatility that would severely undermine the country's critical long-term financial goals. This unique insider perspective adds an intriguing layer of complexity and high drama to the ongoing public discussion, raising the distinct possibility that Iraq's top financial Leadership is actively considering unconventional tactics to decisively break away from years of past economic stagnation. Whether or not the CBI ultimately elects to follow through on such a bold, high-risk strategy, the very nature of this pervasive speculation powerfully underscores the degree to which the entire global financial community is intently watching Iraq's next strategic move. Asterisk. In the evolving global financial narrative, Iraq is rapidly transitioning from a historically passive participant to a central and influential player, possessing the demonstrated capacity to fundamentally reshape prevailing market expectations with a single, decisive monetary action. For the average Iraqi citizen, the immense and potential strengthening of the dinar is not a mere abstract topic of financial policy discussion. It represents a potential transformation that could profoundly affect their daily life in tangible and meaningful ways. The most immediate and widely felt benefit would be a significant and noticeable increase in purchasing power. This boost would manifest as a dramatic reduction in the cost of essential imported goods, including vital staples like food, life-saving medicines, fuel, various electronics, and essential household items, all of which would become significantly more affordable when translated into dinars. This fundamental change is exceptionally important in a nation where a very large fraction of consumer goods must be imported and where ordinary families have historically felt perpetually squeezed by high, volatile prices and constantly fluctuating, unpredictable exchange rates. A materially stronger dinar also holds the substantial potential to alleviate domestic inflationary pressures, which have historically and consistently eroded the savings and fixed incomes of countless households, leaving many struggling severely to afford basic, necessary expenses. By successfully curbing inflation, citizens would finally achieve a deeply needed sense
of sustained financial stability that has tragically remained elusive for far too long. Another fundamentally key impact would be the highly anticipated restoration of public trust in the country's formal financial institutions. For a long time, many Iraqis have expressed a distinct preference for securely holding their wealth in hard cash or relying almost exclusively on various informal, unregulated exchange networks, often driven by a deep-seated skepticism regarding the security, stability, or reliability of traditional commercial banks. A visibly credible and consistently stable dinar could successfully encourage a much larger number of citizens to deposit their funds, actively utilize modern financial services, and begin to participate fully in a modernized, transparent economy. Over a period of time, this widespread behavioral shift could lay the essential groundwork for the development of a stronger Iraqi middle class, universally recognized as the crucial backbone of any sustainable and resilient economic growth. If this historic moment is managed with the necessary diligence and transparency, it possesses the power to inaugurate a new social and financial contract between the citizens of Iraq and their national economy. This new contract would emphatically prioritize full transparency, equitable opportunity, and genuinely shared prosperity. For international investors who have patiently held Iraqi dinar, some for many years in anticipation, this pivotal announcement from the Central Bank of Iraq represents a highly anticipated and potentially transformative financial moment. Even a relatively modest, carefully measured adjustment in the official exchange rate possesses the capacity to translate into significant paper gains for those savvy investors who strategically entered the market when the dinar was substantially weaker. For a large number of these patient investors, this event could represent the long-awaited validation of their enduring patience and deep-seated confidence in Iraq's long-term economic future, particularly for those who have consistently believed that comprehensive financial reforms, substantial oil revenues, and eventual global integration would inevitably and eventually lead to a stronger national currency. However, financial experts consistently and emphatically stress that the immediate aftermath of this announcement is not the time for emotional or impulsive financial decisions. The initial days and weeks following the formal announcement are almost certain to be characterized by considerable and pronounced volatility, as the exchange rates could experience sharp spikes, sudden dips, and only gradually begin to stabilize as the broad markets absorb the unprecedented news and participants actively test the precise limits of the new market equilibrium. Rushing precipitously to exchange or liquidate existing positions within such an unpredictable environment could easily mean forfeiting better, more advantageous opportunities once the inevitable market dust has fully settled and a new stable rate is established. Investors are therefore being strongly urged to adopt a meticulously disciplined and strategically patient approach, to remain exceptionally well informed, to scrupulously monitor only official updates, and to consult immediately with licensed financial advisors before initiating any significant financial moves that could materially impact their carefully constructed wealth planning. It is also vital to keep a clear perspective that while the substantial upside potential is demonstrably real, significant risks remain a persistent factor, and the strategic practice of diversification is always the wisest and most prudent approach in the challenging landscape of global investing. The most crucial takeaway message is unequivocally clear: maintaining a posture of calmness, patience, and strategic discipline will undoubtedly prove far more rewarding in the long run than any attempt to frantically chase short-term, fleeting gains in a volatile market. One of the most heated and important debates currently circulating among seasoned economists, serious investors, and even ordinary Iraqi citizens revolves around the precise technical method the Central Bank of Iraq (CBI) will ultimately select to implement the widely anticipated official exchange rate adjustment for the dinar. There are essentially two dominant and broad schools of technical thought concerning this implementation, with each possessing its own unique set of distinct advantages and inherent risks. The first approach is commonly termed the gradual shift, where the dinar would be permitted to systematically appreciate in carefully controlled, incremental steps over a potentially prolonged period, spanning several weeks or even many months. This particular method offers the significant advantage of minimizing immediate systemic risk, actively preventing potential market panic, and providing ample, necessary time for the commercial markets, banks, and businesses to comfortably adapt to the new economic reality. Furthermore, it substantially reduces the chance of abrupt, sharp disruptions to either global trade flows or essential consumer prices. The second and far bolder approach, however, involves a sudden, decisive revaluation, a one-time, significant jump that immediately delivers a decisive and dramatic increase in the currency's overall value. Such an impactful move could send an instantaneous and powerful signal to global markets, profoundly boosting confidence and instantly positioning Iraq as a nation demonstrably serious and fully committed to large-scale financial reform. Yet this aggressive strategy comes with its own major inherent challenges, specifically the high risk of intense, short-term market volatility, the potential for destabilizing speculative trading, and significant shocks to both the country's importers and exporters, according to reliable sources. Maintaining a close proximity to the CBI leadership, both of these highly consequential options are currently active on the discussion table and are being rigorously and carefully evaluated, with dedicated technical teams actively running complex simulations for each potential scenario. Regardless of the final chosen methodology, the fundamental end goal remains precisely the same: to successfully lay the durable and essential foundation for an economy that is measurably stronger, thoroughly modern, and fully integrated globally, thereby completely restoring unshakable faith in Iraq's entire financial system. Many are also rightly asking why this monumental, potential exchange rate adjustment is strategically converging at this specific point in Iraq's complex financial and political history. Their comprehensive answer resides in the powerful and unique convergence of three distinct, yet interrelated forces that, when combined, create what many astute analysts are now calling a perfect and rare window for fundamental reform. The first and arguably most foundational force is the significant series of domestic financial reforms that Iraq has been diligently undertaking over the last several preceding years. The CBI, working in close and determined collaboration with key government institutions, has aggressively tackled deep-rooted corruption, significantly tightened regulatory oversight on its high-volume currency auctions, and successfully launched major, comprehensive efforts to fully digitize the banking system. These proactive steps have successfully brought Iraq's financial operations much more closely into alignment with globally accepted financial standards, ensuring that money flows are demonstrably more transparent and fully accountable. The second powerful force is the fact that Iraq is currently significantly benefiting from robust and rising oil revenues, a truly critical factor given that crude oil exports remain the absolute lifeblood of the nation's fragile economy. With consistently high global crude prices and stable, dependable production levels, Iraq has successfully managed to accumulate and build substantial foreign currency reserves. This large fiscal cushion provides the CBI with the essential financial firepower and support it needs to successfully defend and actively sustain a stronger national currency. The third and final force is the considerable and mounting global pressure being applied by influential international institutions, prominently including the International Monetary Fund, IMF, the World Bank, and key global trading partners. These formidable groups have consistently and emphatically urged Iraq to successfully achieve full currency stabilization as a fundamental prerequisite for significantly attracting widespread foreign investment, demonstrably strengthening its crucial regional trade relationships, and ensuring its smooth, complete integration into the expansive global economy. This exceptionally fortunate combination of domestic reform commitment, strong fiscal health, and compelling international encouragement means that the precise timing of this momentous decision is not merely accidental, it is intensely strategic. Iraq finally possesses both the necessary financial tools and the essential international support required to courageously attempt a bold, decisive monetary move that has the power to fundamentally reshape its entire economic future for the better. While the overall outlook is undoubtedly promising and the potential benefits that flow from a significantly stronger dinar are unmistakably clear, it remains critically important to maintain a realistic perspective and openly acknowledge that significant, substantial risks undeniably persist. One of the most immediate and likely challenges will be the onset of sharp, short-term forex volatility. Any official exchange rate adjustment in a nation's currency, whether executed suddenly or gradually, invariably triggers waves of intense speculation within the global currency markets, often resulting in pronounced swings and erratic movements that can temporarily unsettle both domestic businesses and consumers. Another key risk originates from Iraq's highly complex and often unpredictable domestic political landscape. Political instability has historically served as one of the single biggest, most persistent obstacles to the consistent and effective implementation of necessary economic reform. Any sudden and unexpected shifts in national leadership, pronounced policy disputes, or the rise of new external geopolitical pressures possess the power to significantly complicate or potentially even completely derail the progress that the CBI is currently striving to achieve. There is also the significant and often debated issue of export competitiveness. A materially stronger dinar inherently means that Iraqi-produced goods and services will inevitably become more expensive when sold in foreign markets, potentially leading to a sharp reduction in global demand. Unless this cost increase is effectively offset by simultaneous, major improvements in product quality, internal infrastructure, or overall productivity, the act of delicately balancing the considerable benefits of a stronger domestic currency against the persistent and unavoidable realities of maintaining competitively priced exports will undoubtedly be a difficult and delicate balancing act. Finally, various external global factors, such as unpredictable oil price volatility or persistent regional geopolitical tensions, could inject additional unforeseen pressures into the financial system. For all of these compelling reasons, both international investors and Iraqi citizens should rightly maintain a posture that is cautiously optimistic, while simultaneously remaining vigilant and fully alert to potential setbacks. Successful and lasting reform is fundamentally never achieved without encountering and overcoming significant challenges, and a thorough, realistic understanding of the potential pitfalls is just as crucial as the excitement surrounding the tangible opportunities for those individuals who currently hold Iraqi dinar. Whether as fundamental local savings or as a calculated part of a larger international investment portfolio strategy, meticulous preparation and unwavering discipline are the absolute keys to navigating this complex period. The very first and most fundamentally important step is to adhere strictly to and follow only official updates released directly by the Central Bank of Iraq or other demonstrably trusted, official financial sources. Social media platforms are currently rife with a huge volume of unverified rumors, wild speculation, and exaggerated hype, a vast majority of which is designed to deliberately mislead investors into making poor, ill-informed decisions. Secondly, it is absolutely critical to avoid any and all emotional or reflexive financial reactions. Major monetary policy changes inherently create a significant atmosphere of excitement and anticipation, but they also simultaneously generate profound uncertainty. Making rushed, irreversible financial decisions in the immediate hours or days following the official announcement can, and often does, lead to deep regret later on. Instead, the wisest strategy is to patiently wait for the market dust to fully settle, carefully monitor the market's response, and meticulously analyze the CBI's precise official guidance before contemplating any action. Finally, the single smartest move for the majority of people will be to immediately consult with seasoned professionals, licensed financial advisors, trusted investment consultants, or qualified legal experts who can provide tailored advice that is specific to your unique financial situation and your long-term objectives. Not every individual's financial circumstances are the same, and a highly nuanced decision that may make perfect sense for one person is often completely unsuitable for another. While the upcoming Tuesday may indeed prove to be a truly historic and fundamental turning point for both Iraq and its national currency, it will ultimately be the patient, the disciplined, and the fully informed individuals who stand to benefit most substantially from the enduring effects of these reforms. Iraq is standing today on the very threshold of what could be a genuinely historic economic transformation. The central bank's critical upcoming decision on the official exchange rate possesses the profound potential to mark the crucial first step toward fully establishing a stable, financially sovereign, and globally respected currency, one that accurately reflects Iraq's vast, true economic potential rather than merely its challenging, troubled past. For the everyday Iraqi citizen, this significant and positive shift could finally mean tangible relief from the corrosive pressures of inflation, a greatly improved purchasing power for their hard-earned money, and a renewed, profound confidence in their ability to save and transact fully in the local currency. For the dedicated investors, both domestic and international, it represents the long-awaited validation of the faith they placed in Iraq's ongoing financial reforms and the much-needed opening for deeper, more confident engagement with a genuinely growing economy. And for the nation as a collective whole, this single decision profoundly signifies a turning point toward demonstrably greater transparency, stronger institutional frameworks, and enhanced economic independence. While inherent challenges and persistent risks undeniably remain, the substantial progress that is currently being made cannot be credibly denied. At Dinar Daily, we are committed to meticulously tracking every single detail of this critically unfolding story, promising to deliver live, real-time updates, expert analysis, and clear, actionable insights so that you can consistently remain ahead of the curve.